welcome back to the channel. My name is Clemont and this is Travel and That's What's Up. Okay, so today guys, I want to talk about young adults because of my son, or sons rather. You know, I don't know what's wrong with kids these days. They're just not like us. That's one of the things. And then, you know, the age gap or whatever, the difference. And some of the conversations, kids are weird. Or young adults, kids, whatever. You know, they grew up in a different era, which is totally true and I get it. But man, I try to have these conversations and I try to, I guess, try to make them make sense. But talking to a young adult about how the world works and trying to explain to them, it's just, we're worlds apart. So I find myself trying to balance it out, you know, trying to see the trade-offs. Because maybe it's not the attention span's low, it's just that circumstances, like my friend would say, they're different, you know. They're not dealing with the same things we dealt with. And once again, they do have a lot of devices. What we had to do was go outside and find something to do. They just pick up their phone and become glued to it. But here's the thing, I'm guilty of the same thing. I'll be on my phone and don't even recognize or realize it sometimes. I spend a lot of time on my phone. And I think that has a lot to do with the conversations that I have with my son. You know, because everybody's always on their phones and that's just the way it is. Basically, everybody has devices. So, you know, there's not a whole lot that can happen there because people are going to continue to use them. And whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, it's a thing that's happening and it's not going to change. We've become so, you know, as a society, relying on our devices. So now I could be wrong and I'm hoping I am, but I feel like they don't spend much time thinking about the future, young people. It's always about right now, and I think that's good too in a way, but it's strange because their minds they just seem different. Like they have all these devices, and I think the devices are part of the problem. Now, I don't know if it was YouTube or TikTok. I was actually checking it out and I seen a video pop up, and you know how these internet sites, you never know what you're going to catch when you're scrolling, especially if you're doom scrolling, right? And I came across some, you know, some questionable stuff, and me and my son started talking about them, you know, talking about the things that were witnessed, you know, and what kind of response, what do you think about it, those type of things, because I'm always interested in knowing what the youth are thinking, because I got boys that are young still, you know, under 25, and even though I'm out of touch on a lot of things, I try to keep my finger on the pulse of what may or may not be happening or what's going on, because, you know, I'm a parent. I want to know just the safety aspects of things. And you know, this was something I was covering when I took him down to Thailand with me, and you know, I wanted to make sure of certain things he understood. You know, we seen a video with I Show Speed and how the kids were responding and reacting, and he's around the same age as this guy. And along with the other videos I had seen earlier, he had seen, and I wanted to know his perspective on things. It reminds me of a time when I was on a cruise ship and I met this man. A bunch of things, that made my mind just wonder. And I was thinking, a gentleman that old, as opposed to my son being that young, and then my age, it's just interesting to see how everybody thinks differently about certain things. But to put it in perspective in a real way and put some energy into it, because it's my son, so I'm investing real thoughts into these things, trying to process why the kids are so, they seem different to me, when I compare how the kids are as opposed to how I grew up. And then I do the math and I subtract and add things for certain times and, compensate for differences. And the one thing I keep swirling around is that they don't get out much, they don't go outside. And when you don't go outside, you don't see much, you don't do much, you don't experience much. And I don't know if it's because of the devices, meaning the video games, the cell phones, whatever it is that keeps them from coming outside. Just my curiosity, because when I was growing up, I'd leave the house at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I wouldn't come home until 10 o'clock, 9:30 in the evening. They're different. They're just different. And I really don't know how to say it any other way. And an update, my ankle still hurts after all this time. Also, I want to tell you, if you like this content, please like, share, subscribe to the channel. It helps grow my channel, and I'd appreciate it so much. I just don't feel like they spend a lot of time processing things. I think technology is hurting everybody. Yeah, so I know AI is making people lose their jobs. And I also know that there are other technologies and what am I trying to say? Equipment, technologies, AI, whatever, that are taking jobs, changing people's lives. And those same things, as the same devices and technologies that's doing that, is also providing jobs and helping people. But you try to explain this to a young person, I don't know. I think most young people think they're invincible, or everything's gonna be good. Way too not processing all of the information is what I'm trying to say. Everything has to be fully processed and understood, because the future looks very different in my eyes than what the past I came from and the future I'm moving into. They have similarities, but it looks very different. So I've always tried to be practical in the idea that, things are not going to stay the same. Everything changes. It almost sometimes feels like they think very temporary, and I'm hoping I'm wrong. I know I am about at least 30% of this that are looking towards the future, that are trying to do more, be more. He's cool in the sense that, like all of my kids, honestly, but my two youngest, they seem to be very, very adventurous. They want to do like everything, go everywhere. I think that's such a unique and wonderful thing. But a lot of kids are starting to wake up to this idea that, you know, there's more to this world than this country. There's a lot to do, a lot of places to visit, a lot of things to see. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to have that conversation with my son, to see what, you know, his overseas experience had did for him and to him, if you can anyway. Broaden their spectrum, you know, let them see and do and experience more. However you can get them to do that. So that was an easy sell, take him to Thailand. But it was the opportunity to show him something different. Let him see how he can shape and sculpt his own direction. Steer them in the right direction. And that's going to be done only, I think, by finding out what they're thinking, how they're thinking. We're not sitting down with our kids and talking to them, seeing what's going on with them. That's all I really got for you today, guys.